Good morning. It's January the 7th, and it's a Tuesday. This afternoon, about 1 o'clock, the beginning of the cowl is going to drop, and I'm going to tell you I made a mistake. Yesterday, I had a pretty bad headache, one of those that goes from the back of the head and comes up forward, while I was filming. Lovely. But, in it, I tell you that I'm going to do 12 rows of that base. And then at the very end, I said something about only 8 rows with the final stitch count of 52. No, I did 12 rows with a final base stitch of 76. I put that in the description. The video is not as... I had trouble with that camera. I'm telling you, it was driving me nuts. It's kind of far away, and to me it seems a little blurry. I may redo it at some time, but I'm just going to put this one up the way it is because I wasn't sure if the blurriness was because of my headache or because it's blurry. It's not real sharp, so, but I'm going to leave it up because it's a fairly simple beginning to a shawl. Many of us have done it, time after time. So I'm just going to leave that up there until this head clears up a little bit. I do have a couple of finished projects. And one is one of those crochet scrap blankets where I take 2 strands of yarn and crochet that, doing a half double crochet, and doing that until I think it's big enough. And I believe I used a 10mm hook with that. It's the purple handled clover. I think that's a 10mm. And then, I'd purchased that yarn at Ollie's, the blanket yarn, Bernat blanket, for $2 a skein. So I did the same thing. It's just a half double crochet, but it's, just the one blanket strand. Just tossing it over the side. And I had 10 skeins of that. And so, I had the wrappers. But on the back here are different stitches, different blankets you could do on these with the blanket yarn. Now these you can get at Yarnspirations, the pattern, but it's on the back of the label. But this is the next one I'm going to do with the one that's pink and white that I got. Calls for 8 balls. Hey, isn't that perfect? But I thought, look at how pretty that one is. And then this one. Look how pretty that is. And then you get the next one. Let's see, those are those. And then this one with cables. Isn't that pretty? But as I was doing it, I thought, surely you can do these with a regular size hook and regular worsted yarn. Might be able to get rid of some of those scraps that I have going on. So, yeah. As you know, Australia is in the midst of a very big crisis, but the good news is that there is supposedly 4 days of rain that are happening there, so that should help with the fires in Australia. Now the little animals need some certain things, and there are a lot of places that you can find. I'm sorry, I cannot remember who's posting it on all the different Facebook crochet groups, but it's telling you how you can help. Linda from Just Another Crochet Sister, I think that's her channel name. She also has a video out I will link that down below of how you can help. And it is generally donations that you can give. One of those is, it is a link where you can buy a book for amigurumi. For those of you that are into amigurumi, I actually bought the book anyway and then donated a little extra on top of that. So you can help these people because, you know, they have lost, some of these people have lost everything. Everything. Now, the sad thing is, and this is where there are people that are just not good people. These fires were started by arsonists. It's not like it was global warming. So no, the eucalyptus trees didn't just spontaneously burst into flames, which is one of the things that eucalyptus trees can do because of heat. However, it wasn't due to that. It was due to some ugly people who decided to get their jollies, I guess, by starting fires. And out of that, a lot of people have got hurt. They've lost a lot of their entire belongings. Animals have been killed and hurt. So yeah, I do think there's still evil in this world. And those people are the epitome of it. So I hope Australia really throws the books at these people. Really hard. And, you know, makes them cough up some money for the rest of their lives to pay for the damages to the people. So, I'm going to give you some of those links down below for you to peruse. And there are also some ways that you can help as crochet and knitters. Now, I don't know how soon it'll get there because, you know, the post is ridiculously expensive and takes quite a bit of time to get there. But it may help in the long run because they have a very severe need. And even if it doesn't, you know, they can store those back for other things that might happen, you know, where the little animals are traumatized or need little mittens for their feet because of fire or injury or whatever. So, you know, it's worth a shot, right? Some of us, we can't do money, but we can, you know, take out of our stash and go wild and help out some animals and whatnot there in Australia. Hacking is going around crazy. I'm going to tell you, when I look at my Gmail, I never open the Gmail that say there is a new terms of service for YouTube. Never. And there's a reason I don't. And the reason being is when I go to upload a video, if there's a new terms of service, it's a post right there that I have to look at, or it says learn more. So I trust that more than I do Gmail. You know, Gmail is one of those that hackers use a lot. So I'm kind of hesitant to open a lot of things in Gmail. But especially anything that comes saying terms of service. Anything like Google AdSense that talks about, you know, deposit made into your bank account for whatever. I never open those up. I go to my bank and look at it. I'm just not very trusting of those emails. We have our phone with Verizon, and there's a ton of stuff that comes through Verizon as well. And a lot of these are because they're free emails. You know, they just don't have the security wall, the firewall behind them. So be careful of what you open up. And if you're on YouTube, there are places on YouTube where you can go find if there's a new terms of service. don't open the email, because there's a lot of people that, big names included, big wigs that have hundreds of thousands of people, subscribers, that have had their YouTube hacked. So, like I said, just be careful. Really. Now, I know a lot of you thought that the cow was going to be Tunisian. Now, I thought I made it clear a couple times that it would be the cow crochet along first, and then the Tunisian crochet along, and then a knit along later, because I'm still looking for knit along ideas. Knit along is a little differently. You do have to pay more attention to the math with the knit along. So, basically that's what I'm looking for. But I am going to show you a couple of types of hooks that you can definitely use. Now, these hooks were hooks that I got. They're called Moeezy hooks, and they have a rubber stopper here at the end. This is an M, and this is an N, I believe. So, these are perfectly fine to use. You could use a double-ended. You just have to wrap a hair tie or a rubber band around here. Or if you have a knit stopper you can put over that, that would work. The double-ended with the cords are perfectly fine. Like I said, you would just have to put something on the end so that the stitches wouldn't go off the edge. And this is one of mine that I had used for many years, and I still use it occasionally because I still do some crow hooking because it's a lot of fun. It's a basic crow hook. It already comes with stoppers, so you don't really have to worry about it. And I know a lot of you are saying, there's no way you're going to get enough stitches on there. Yeah, there is with Tunisian. It holds a lot of stitches, trust me. I have done baby blankets to large blankets on those. This is another type. These are Denise interchangeables. And the neat thing about Denise is they're cords. They just pop in here, and then you turn to click, and then they stay. So that's a perfectly fine hook to use. This is the hook that I use most of the time because I got these. They were the Dream Set, Knitter's Pride Dream Set. This is an M hook, which is 9 millimeters. And this is the hook that I use with worsted weight a lot of times. So any of those hooks for the Tunisian crochet along that will start the 23rd of this month are perfectly fine. And the reason I had chosen that to be at the end of the month is because a lot of people were wanting to get supplies together. And, I'm doing a basic sampler with different stitches. And with those stitches, I'm using up my scraps. So it's probably going to be pretty colorful. Now, my intention was not to buy yarn this year, and I didn't. However, the reason I put that intention on there is because of what I did on the 27th of December. I purchased yarn. And after I hit the click, yes, pay for it, I thought, what am I doing? I have so much yarn in here, I really don't need any more yarn. However, that December. I'm going to show you. Premier still had the basic for $2.99. So I got 2 in the color light mauve. Two in cream. Two in, I believe this was just garnet. Garnet. Gotta reach in the box. Two in taffy. Yeah, there's more, folks. Two in peach. Now, part of the reason I was getting the peach is one of our gals makes the comfort dolls, and she's always looking for something that is closer to skin tone. So, you know, I thought I would look and see if the peach came close. No, doesn't. And then there's one more. And this is in forest green. Like I said, I didn't need the yarn. I saw it. I'm a yarnaholic. Thought I had to have it, and I got it. Which is the reason I put that intention on there to begin with. But I have to own up to what I got, right? Yeah, I do. I have things falling. Okay. That's it for that part of the yarniness. Quick and easy. And now it's time for What In Tarnation. Now this story here happened back in February of 2019. But I don't think I was doing What In Tarnation back then. I may have been, but I don't remember doing this story. Tiger found in cage at Houston home is headed to East Texas Animal Sanctuary. This story's kind of funny. A tiger found at a Houston home by an anonymous tipster who reportedly went there to smoke marijuana is being moved to a new home at East Texas Animal Sanctuary. For now, the tiger will live at the Cleveland Armory Black Beauty Ranch in Murchison, about 70 miles southeast of Dallas. The sanctuary may keep the animal permanently pending possible court action, said the Humane Society. That would be a far cry from where the tiger was found. A rinky-dink cage in a garage in the 9400 block of East Avenue J. Police told Houston's CBS affiliate KHOU-TV the cage was secured with a screwdriver and a nylon strap. The tipster who called 311 to report the tiger told the call taker that they were trying to get into the house to smoke marijuana. The person was asked if they were under the effects of drugs, or actually saw a tiger. Several packages of meat were found with the animal. Houston police obtained a warrant to enter the abandoned home, and then on Monday, animal enforcement officers from BARK, the city's animal shelter, retrieved the tiger Oh my. The tiger male was described as being significantly overweight, had been left without food or water. It spent the night at the bark facility before heading out Tuesday to the animal sanctuary, where the tiger can receive the specialized care he needs and deserves. The ranch where the tiger was moved to is a 1,400-acre facility in Henderson County. It is also home to two other tigers. Charlie, rescued from a breeder in 2016, and Alex, who was being kept as a pet and arrived in 2014. He will undergo thorough medical examination and be placed in quarantine for a minimum of 2 weeks. He will receive proper diet, veterinary care, and the respect and dignity that he deserves. Pablo Briagas, who lives in the neighborhood, told the Houston Chronicle, "It's not safe for a tiger to be kept down the street, you think?" He said, "Kids are here. My kids are here. Even if they had it as a pet, it's dangerous. They need to have it at a zoo." The Houston Zoo, in a statement that the facility, which already is home to two Malayan tigers, does not have the capacity to take on another tiger and was not involved in the case. Two state legislators filed bills this session aimed at prohibiting the private ownership of dangerous wild animals. Identical bills would impose a penalty on a person not allowed to have an animal such as a big cat, orangutan, bear, or baboon. I can imagine that call. "Sir, are you high on marijuana?" Okay, someone sent me this, and I remember reading this at one point during the year. And it was pastor arrested for selling 500 golden tickets to heaven. This one story was from Florida, a Florida couple arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven. There have been some other places that this has been, but I'm going to read you this. Pastor and his wife were arrested for allegedly selling golden tickets for $500 each to get into heaven. This is the exact same story that's been going around. Tito and Amanda Watts reportedly scammed several church members before getting caught. The tickets were supposed to get people into heaven without facing judgments. Watts reportedly told those who sought salvation that the tickets were made from solid gold and each ticket reserved the buyer a place in heaven. Watts has reportedly told thousands of people that Jesus appeared before him and had miraculously given him the tickets. He then began selling the tickets for $500 apiece. Now, the Florida story is $99.95, and said they would benefit everyone, especially the sinners. When the police arrested the pastor, Watts said he did not care about what the people or police said about him because he is doing the work of God. He also said, "The tickets are solid gold. It ain't cut up 2x4s I spray painted gold. It was Jesus who gave them to me behind the KFC and said to sell them so I could get me some money to go to outer space. I met an alien named Stevie who said if I got the cash together, he'd take me and my wife on his flying saucer to his planet that's made entirely of crack cocaine. You can smoke all the crack cocaine there you want, totally free. So try to send an innocent man to jail and see what happens. You should arrest Jesus because he's the one that gave me the golden tickets and said to sell them. I'm willing to wear a wire and set Jesus up." Police said they confiscated over $10,000 in cash, 5 cracked pipes, and a baby alligator. Amanda told officers that they just wanted to leave Earth and go to space and smoke rock cocaine. She also made it clear that she only watched her husband sell the tickets but did not participate. However, this is not the first time this couple made the news. In 2015, a customer named Dell Woodcock bought a ticket for the couple for $99.95. He realized it was a scam after he discovered the ticket was actually a piece of wood. Woodcock said, "They said it was solid gold. I didn't know what gold looks like. How was I to know it was spray-painted wood? I want my 99.95 back. I hope Tito and Amanda Watts get the death penalty for what they have done. They deserve it." Woodcock was not surprised to learn that police reports said the golden tickets were actually made of gold-coated wood with "Ticket to Heaven, Admit One" written on it. Ironically, the couple's church members are calling for the pastor's release. Protests from thousands of people are appearing in efforts to have the police free the pastor immediately. They do not believe his arrest is right because they are using their own money to buy salvation. The main religion... Okay, here's where the story originates. The main religion in Zimbabwe is Christianity and is practiced by over 70% of the country's population. Despite practicing Christian faith, the majority of the locals still adhere to and practice local and traditional religious beliefs from the old ancestors and tribes. As a result, many fall to the fate of cult influence. Cults are led by powerful, charismatic leaders who claim they have divine authority that legitimizes them to found a church and be a leader. Cult leaders usually convince their followers that they are messiahs, prophets, or both. They claim they are God's representatives on earth, meaning by implication that questioning their orders is akin to questioning God. This is why they are so easily deceived. Their victims, who are cult members, believe that by seeing the cult leader, they are seeing God. So every word he speaks is believed to be divine. For this cause, many of his followers will not question for fear of challenging the divine. Nevertheless, the pastor and his wife were arrested for selling golden tickets for $500 to get into heaven. And there are quite a few places where the person who wrote this story quoted. Now, here's the rest of the story. No, Florida couple didn't get arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven. Golden tickets to heaven. You know that's too good to be true, even in Florida. Couple arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven reads a headline on City World News. I'm going to tell you, City World News is a satire site. The story was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news and misinformation on its newsfeed. The story, in circulation since 2015, said Jacksonville residents Tito and Amanda Watts were selling wooden slabs spray painted with gold paint on the streets for $99.99. I don't care what the police said, the story quoted. The tickets are solid gold. It ain't cut up 2x4s I spray painted gold. The story even quoted an unnamed Jacksonville Police Department spokesman who said the police confiscated over $10,000 in cash, 5 cracked pipes, and a baby alligator. Just like tickets that reserve a spot in heaven, the story is a fabrication. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office found no records of such a case. The story would have likely made headlines, but we found no coverage by local newspapers of the events either. The picture of Tito Watts isn't real. It was snagged off a website with mugshots of people arrested in their Halloween costume. The photo dates back to 2011, and that photo is on it's one of the British tabloids. Daily News? Daily World News? Something like that. We rate this statement pants on fire. So it's not a true story. However, you know, when you throw in Zimbabwe in there and all these other stories throughout the years, yeah, it's what we call false news, folks. Happens. And we have journalists who are practicing no journalism whatsoever these days and call themselves journalists. So you have to take things with a grain of salt sometimes. Now this is one of my favorites because there was video. Deputies discovered cries for help were coming from playful parrot. Deputies in Florida responded to a home where shouts for help were heard by a neighbor and discovered the distressed cries were coming from a playful parrot. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office said deputies responded to a 911 call from a Lake Worth Beach resident who heard what sounded like a distressed woman calling for help from a neighbor's house. Footage recorded by the homeowner's security camera shows deputies arriving to find a man working on his wife's car in the driveway, while someone can be heard shouting, "Let me out, let me out." The homeowner introduced the deputies to the origin of the cries, his pet parrot on an outside perch. "I was changing the brakes on my wife's car and had my 40-year-old parrot, Rambo, on his outside perch where he sings and talks," the owner wrote. Sometime later, 4 police officers showed up saying a neighbor called because she heard a woman screaming for help. I promptly introduced the officers to Rambo, and we all had a good laugh. The man said he then introduced the neighbor who made the 911 call to Rambo, and she also had a good laugh. The man said he taught Rambo to shout, "Let me out," when he was a kid, and the bird was living in a cage inside his family's home. And you know the birds mimic your sounds completely. So you gotta admit, he must have been a pretty young kid before his voice changed. For it to sound like a woman. This next one just thrills my heart. Lord of the Rings inspired Airbnb unveiled in North Carolina. A North Carolina couple unveiled their newest Airbnb offering, an underground hobbit home inspired by the Lord of the Rings books and film series. Mike and Carolyn Parrish, who offer unusual Airbnb cabin experiences with their Treehouse of Serenity properties, said the newest structure on their property is a Shire-style Lord of the Rings Airbnb that's 90% underground. The 800-square-foot dwelling features round doors, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and kitchen for the guest use. "I've always been a Lord of the Rings fan," Mike Parrish told WLOS TV. "I'm not just a casual fan, but I'm a huge fan." The structure was constructed by Black Mountain Builders with the round wooden doors crafted by a local woodworker, John Fenwick. "We're coming up with what we hope will be the coolest hobbit home on the East Coast," Parrish said. Parrish said the hobbit houses are expected to be available in early 2020. This next one, the story doesn't surprise me, but the picture is funny looking. And I'm going to give you links to some of these that have pictures or video. Sheep wears human bra to correct saggy udders. Veterinarians in New Zealand said a sheep with a severely damaged and saggy udders was spared surgery or worse when she was fitted with a bra designed for humans. Dr. Sarah Clues, a veterinarian with Franklin Vets Livestock Farms, said Rose, a Romney ewe from a small farm in the Auckland area, suffered damage to her udders suspensory ligaments when she started producing a high volume of milk while pregnant with triplets. When this happens, the udders can hang so low that they can be traumatized on the ground. Unless the situation can be corrected, it is a case for euthanasia. Clues recommended Rose owners try to support her udders with a bra to prevent her from requiring surgery to repair the ligaments or remove her udders. A large maternity bra, size 24J, was obtained from the lingerie company Rose and Thorn, which inspired the sheep owners to name her in honor of the company. Holes were cut out in the garment to allow her to feed her 3 black lambs, which were born November the 11th. The veterinarian said Rose's ligaments healed enough to correct her saggy udders after a few weeks of wearing the bra. She said she bought the bra from the sheep owners so she could attempt the same treatment next time a similar situation arises. I'm very quickly thrown in the forefront of the field because everyone wants to go the extra 100 miles. I feel really passionate about animal welfare. I went to study knowing I would work with livestock animals in a pet setting to improve animal welfare. This veterinarian thought outside the box. Okay. Deer steals Christmas decorations from Georgia home. A Georgia couple shared camera footage of the culprit behind the theft of their Christmas decorations. A bah humbug deer. Ashley and William Pratt said the Christmas decorations outside their Dunwoody home went missing Saturday, so they checked the security camera footage. The Ring camera recorded a deer dragging their decorations off into the nearby bushes. Apparently, the deer was not a fan of our Christmas decorations. That's it for What in Tarnation. Sometimes they're silly, sometimes you have to say, okay, I call BS on that one. Like the one with the couple selling the tickets to heaven. I've seen that several times over the past few years. So my first thought was, there's something quite hinky with that story. So it's interesting, to find out that it's actually not a true story. But it does make you think. One of my favorite blogs is gomerblog.com because of the medical stories. And they're not real, it's satire. It's like The Onion, but I find them funny. Okay, folks, everybody have a great week. I will see you again probably next week. However, the cow will be out later on this afternoon, about 1 o'clock, the first section of it. Second one will be out Thursday, and then the following Tuesday and Thursday will be the other sections, and we'll finish up. I am asking you, if you are on the group, to take the poll as to which stitch you want to see next, because the way that I was thinking about doing it was to, let's say, the bobble stitch, is the highest stitch chosen to be put into this crochet along. Then we will do the bobbin stitch for a couple of rows, and I would imagine some of those stitches will have to fudge a little to make them work. And when I say fudge a little, it actually means what I call building bridges to get it to the next step. And I kind of explained a little bit about a bridge with a chain stitch. If the chain stitch was the one that was chosen, you know, you just couldn't do a chain stitch around that triangle shawl and just leave it. You have to do an anchor somewhere, you know, like chain 4, anchor it with a single crochet along the way. But I just thought, like I said, I've named this, while I was doing that video yesterday, the Wild Cow, because that's not normally how I go about making a shawl pattern when I make one. Generally, you know, I kind of have a plan because I've seen, you know, a stitch combination and I think, oh, that would be cool in a shawl. How can I work it out in a shawl? So this one, we're just playing along wild, loose, and free. And you guys are going to choose the next sections with that poll. And the highest number will be the next section, and then we'll work down. I just thought it might be a little different to do that way. Because generally when you write shawls, everything has to be mathematically correct. Now, with crochet and knit, either way, what you do on one side of the shawl, you repeat on the other. To me, that is the simplest math possible. I have taken courses for knit and crochet shawls where they actually do this whole mathematical procedure for the shawl and the stitches, and it makes your head hurt sometimes. So I'm like, no, I'm going to do a little free and easy, and that's the way I roll when I write my patterns. So, yeah. I'm hoping that as we write the pattern down and go along, that it will also help you learn to read patterns. I do talk about the different ways the patterns are written. You know, the main thing is when you're writing a pattern, you want to be consistent in the way that you word it. That's true for anything. So I have taken a notebook and I'm writing those as at the very end, because I don't do it as I go when I do this base stitch. And that's what I call it, a base stitch, the base for the whole shawl. But I will tell you this, it's much easier to write it as you go. You know, each row. I didn't do that with this, and you can see where I get befuddled with the headache and everything. But, you know, bloopers are fine. It's a way for you to see how I made a mistake in the counting the first time, so you recount. And, yeah. It's going to be interesting how this shawl turns out. Okay, I will see you again soon. Everybody have a great week and practice a little kindness.